One of the main features in Mario Wonder are the Wonder Effects. The Wonder Effects are things that happen at each level when you collect a Wonder Flower. Now these Wonder Effects can be pretty much anything. It can be something as little as adding a snowstorm, or something huge like making the player a Goomba. These effects make each level in Mario Wonder feel extremely unique and different from the last. In the game, some effects are better than others, and in this video, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 best Wonder Effects in my opinion. I'm not going to be including the mashup Wonder Effects. They don't really have an official name, but you guys know what I mean. The Wonder Effects that include a bunch of previous Wonder Effects won't be included, because while they are really fun and cool, I feel like it's kind of cheating to put them on the list since they include a ton of individual Wonder Effects. One last thing before we get into the ranking. These effects don't have official names, so I'm going to be doing my best to come up with a good and fitting name for them. Anyways, let's get into the ranking. So, to start off the list, I have the Nin Rhythm Jump Wonder Effect. This Wonder Effect requires you to jump to the rhythm of the music in order to progress through the level. There aren't many enemies in the level, and when there are, they aren't much of a challenge, but I don't think that's a bad thing. In my opinion, it's already pretty hard to jump to the beat of the music, and I feel like if they added enemies, it would take away from the actual gameplay of the Wonder Effect. Another thing is that once you complete the level, you gain a badge that allows you to use the Rhythm Jump ability in other levels. This kind of means that the Nin Jump Party level is a tutorial for the badge. In my opinion, I think the effect works better in the level rather than as a badge, but it's still cool that the badge exists. I think this Wonder Effect is cool gameplay-wise, but one of the main reasons that it's on this list is because of the aesthetic. It's just a great vibe and overall just a fun Wonder Effect. This Wonder Effect kind of feels like a boss. It's the Spike statue. When this Wonder Effect is triggered, it summons a giant fire spike statue that fires meteors at you. The goal of the Wonder Effect is to survive by jumping throughout the platforms until the timer is finished. It's not the longest Wonder Effect, but the feeling of seeing this huge spike statue in the background shooting these meteors at you was just such a surprise, and it sort of felt like a boss. Now, if you've seen my boss's video, then you'll know how much I appreciate this Wonder Effect, because while it's not actually a boss, and to be honest, it's not too difficult to dodge the meteors, it still kinda feels like a boss, and within a game full of mainly Bowser Jr. fights, it makes the Wonder Effect stand out in my opinion. It's kind of short, but it's one of the game's most memorable Wonder Effects in my opinion. The next Wonder Effect is the No Gravity Effect. This effect is sort of reminiscent of how the P-Balloon worked in Mario World, except for the fact that this effect is so much better. And I know that there's already an effect that is similar to the P-Balloon, but I'm not talking about that one. In this effect, you float freely without gravity, and it's a pretty simple concept, but it's what they do with it that makes it an awesome effect. This is kind of a side note, but in the level Cosmic Hoppos, the music in the background really adds to the aesthetic and kind of makes it feel like a Mario Galaxy level. Another level that this effect is featured in is Downpour Uproar, and in this level, they use lightning bolts as obstacles. These lightning bolts are pretty fun to dodge, and even though they give you superstars, it's still fun to float around. Overall, this effect is pretty fun, and I think the gameplay mechanics are just chill. On my first playthrough of Mario Wonder, I was honestly surprised to see King Boo in the game. It was a great experience seeing him for the first time, and it's still a fun effect every time I play the level again. This effect spawns in King Boo, and he chases after you while singing. He is accompanied by other enemies who are also singing. I'm not usually a person who likes auto-scrolling levels, but I feel like there are a few exceptions, this being one of them. Even though the auto-scrolling kind of slows down the pace, the enemies and King Boo himself are more than entertaining enough. I think this would have been cool if he were a boss, but this Wonder Effect is still cool. I just hope he makes more appearances in mainline Mario games in the future. The number 6 spot is the Singing Piranha Plant's Wonder Effect. It's one of the most memorable Wonder Effects in the game, so I feel like I kind of have to put it on this list. It was used 2 times, 3 if you count the final level. This effect is pretty similar to the last effect because it also involves singing monsters in a side-scrolling section. I had to give this Wonder Effect the edge though, because I feel like the aesthetic of it is overall better,
and because it's used more times throughout the game, thus giving it more playtime than the King Boo one. I like this effect because while it is an auto-scrolling effect, it's actually quite challenging, especially the final level that it appears in. Overall, I think this is a great effect, and I'm happy that it's in the game. We've now made it to the final 5, and at the number 5 spot, I have the Wubba transformation. No, not Lubba, Wubba. This is the first transformation I have on the list, and I have to say that it's quite fun. This ability turns the player into a Wubba, and gives you the ability to stick to surfaces, allowing you to climb up walls and cling to the ceiling. It also allows you to move quicker through slime, but I don't really think that's one of the main features of the Wonder Effect. The Wubba transformation is used in multiple unique levels, except for one, but I'll get to that in a second. The other levels it's used in use the effect pretty well, and its mechanics are fun to use. I'd say it's one of the better transformations in the game. The one thing I'd say about it is how it's used in the Operation Poplin rescue level. It's only used for like 10 seconds in order to reach the lost Poplins, and there's literally no obstacles. I guess it's better than nothing, but I think they could have done something more interesting for this level. Looking past this, the Wubba Wonder Effect is overall a great Wonder Effect. This effect is great. It's one of the most mechanics-changing effects in the entire game. It's the top-down perspective effect. This effect changes your camera angle to show the game from the top. This sacrifices your ability to jump, but allows you to move in more directions. It's simple enough, but the way it's executed throughout the appearances is quite amazing. For instance, in one level, they used the Charvarg enemies to attack the player, but they also utilized these blocks that were established earlier in the level. These blocks only appear if the player looks at them, and these blocks are used as barriers to prevent the Charvargs from getting to the player. This is just one example of how the Wonder Effect is used in an excellent way. I think this is one of the top effects in the game. This may surprise some people, but the third best Wonder Effect in my opinion is the Giant Conch. I believe this because even though the Wonder Effect is only used once, it's used extremely well for what it is. The Giant Conch is pretty much just what it sounds like. It's a giant version of the enemy known as the Conch. Conchs are kind of like thwomps that move in multiple directions. Anyways, when the Giant Conch is summoned, it comes straight down towards you, and the only thing that breaks its fall are these giant gem block looking things, and it breaks them after a short time period. This means that you need to rush downwards to escape this Conch, so that you don't get crushed. This is wicked fast paced and fun, and it definitely keeps you on your toes. It's definitely a simple Wonder Effect, but I think it's a great addition to the game. The number 2 spot is going to go to the Hoppy Cat transformation. This transformation is extremely fun, and the gameplay is way more entertaining than you may think, considering that it's pretty much just a jump boost. The Hoppy Cat transformation turns you into a Hoppy Cat, which also gives you the abilities of a Hoppy Cat. These abilities obviously include a jump boost, but the Hoppy Cat also allows you to move notably quicker than usual. Another thing you can do is take enemies out from below, kind of like how you use the drill mushroom to attack enemies when you jump. Now, if this Wonder Effect was used poorly, then I'd probably rank it lower, but luckily that's not the case. I feel like each level that it's in executes its abilities excellently. The Wonder Effect is in 3 levels, and each level uses it pretty differently. I think this Wonder Effect is great, and I'm happy that it's in the game. I feel like this might be one of my most controversial parts of this list. For my number 1 Wonder Effect, I have to go with the Goomba transformation. Now, this may be surprising to some of you considering that the gameplay of the Goomba isn't necessarily exciting or interesting. I mean, playing as the Goomba pretty much takes away your ability to jump, so why would I put it here? Well, to answer that question, I'd say that, while sure, the Goomba transformation does take away a few key gameplay elements, I think this makes you have to take in your surroundings in a different way. Instead of just blazing through the level as Mario, you have to take a slow, methodical approach in order to get to the goal. I think this is really fun in the change in tone to the gameplay, and I also just think it's funny to see your character be turned into a Goomba. I really like how the Yoshi Goomba just has a part of the Yoshi egg on its head. And that's gonna do it for this ranking. It was pretty hard to figure out my top 10 Wonder Effects, considering that there are so many amazing Wonder Effects in the game.
I know people have made videos like this before, but I thought it would be interesting to give my input on this topic. Did you agree with this list, or would you have ranked it differently? Let me know in the comments. If you don't mind subscribing, that would really help. Thank you, and I hope you have an amazing day.